Hi Year 11. Welcome to this masterclass on music in Twelfth Night. So we're going to work today towards answering another of these CIE open essay style questions. How does Shakespeare make use of music in the play? How does Shakespeare make use of music in the play? This is slightly different to some other questions that we have answered because of this phrase, make use. And I want us to think about that. Really, this means, why does he include music? What is the purpose of music in the play? What different things does the music in the play achieve? So that's what we're going to be looking at today. For me, there are two main threads that I would include in this essay if I was to write it myself. The first would be that Shakespeare makes use of music as a symbol of pleasure, festivity, and fun. Remember that this was originally kind of a Christmas play. Twelfth Night is the 12th day of Christmas, and often the festival of misrule. So music plays a really important part in that. It helps us to see and to remember that we're here to enjoy ourselves. We're watching a comedy. However, the second thread I want us to focus on is the way that Shakespeare uses music to create really subtle, dark undercurrents in the comedy. I like the fact that Shakespeare's comedies, despite the fact that the genre is supposed to be totally happy and full of marriages and love and resolutions, I like that Shakespeare's comedies have these dark undercurrents, that there's still a sense of reality creeping in, even in the happiest ending. So these are two things I'm going to explore with you today. Okay, so we can't talk about music without talking about Orsino, and this very first line of the play shows just how important music is in the play. If music be the food of love, play on, give me excess of it, that surfeiting the appetite may sicken and so die. That strain again, it had a dying fall. Oh, it came o'er my ear like the sweet sound that breathes upon a bank of violets, stealing and giving odour. So this is Orsino doing two very interesting things. The first is comparing music to love. He says, if music be the food of love, give me excess. And he wants his appetite to sicken and die. He thinks that perhaps music has the power to feed his kind of miserable suffering in love, and that perhaps if he gets too much music, his appetite will run out and maybe he'll fall out of love with Olivia. Maybe he'll feel himself again, seems to be his implication. But his description of music here is beautiful. He says the strain, so the kind of series of notes, that piece of music, the little section, had a dying fall. It came on my ear like the sweet sound that breathes upon a bank of violets, stealing and giving odour. Comparing music to flowers, that it is almost alive and full of a beautiful smell as well as being beautiful to look at. But it's a dying fall. He's talking about the drop of the notes, the fall of the notes, but he calls it a dying fall. So that's really interesting that even here at the start of the play, music is not full of fun. It is full of suffering almost. And it's that kind of sweet, bittersweet suffering. He's enjoying listening to this music and actually feeling worse. So if we go back to that idea of music as a symbol of pleasure, festivity, and fun, that's not what we see from Orsino here at all. It is here to do with suffering, and it's to do with kind of literally being lovesick. Now, the next character I would like us to consider when it comes to music is Viola. We don't get to see Viola actually sing in the play, although she initially says that she'll work for Orsino because she can sing to him in many kinds of music. So she says she's a good musician and that's why he'll be interested in her. But actually we never hear her sing. However, she does say this to Olivia. She says that if she were to love Olivia, she would Make me a willow cabin at your gate, and call upon my soul within the house. Write loyal cantons of condemned love, and sing them loud even in the dead of night. Halloo your name to the reverberate hills, and make the babbling gossip of the air cry out Olivia. Now, as well as being just a beautiful section of verse from Shakespeare here, this is the moment that Olivia falls for Viola. Her description of how she would write her love songs is kind of the Cupid's arrow moment, right? It's Olivia falls head over heels immediately for Cesario when she hears this speech. So this suggests that music has this kind of extra quality, that it's not just something we can wallow in when we're feeling lovesick, but that it might actually create love. It might cause the spark of love. There's something almost kind of magical about music here. And in fact, Olivia later on calls it an enchantment, Cesario's enchantment. This is the moment of enchantment. It's almost like music is magic. There's a very different use of music in the subplot of the play. So the plot which involves Sir Toby and Sir Andrew and Feste and Fabian, Maria, also involves music. In the first half of the play, in that scene which becomes the reason for their revenge against Malvolio, Sir Toby, Sir Andrew and Feste, and they probably draw Maria into it as well, dance on stage. They enjoy Feste's music. This is a quote from Sir Toby. Shall we make the welkin dance indeed? Shall we rouse the night owl in a catch that will draw 3 souls out of 1 weaver? Shall we do that? He's saying, let's literally make the world dance and let's wake up the owls. Let's sing, let's dance, let's enjoy ourselves. And this is where in the plot we see that music is fun, that music is pleasure, that music is something to be enjoyed by absolutely everybody. And this is a moment in the play where the audience would have been fully involved as well. It's very likely that the song that they sing after this, Hold Thy Peace, Thou Knave, would be one that Shakespeare's audience would know and would probably join in. So Shakespeare also uses music to draw the audience into the joy of the play, and particularly the joy of the subplot in which they can take a greater part. Now, we've already sort of identified some dark undercurrents in some of the ways that Shakespeare uses music with Orsino. For me, the place that this is most interesting is in Feste's songs. You may already have looked at Feste's songs and noted that for a fool, somebody who's supposed to bring joy and entertainment, he sings about really very dark things. I think this is quite interesting because Feste is almost like a choral voice in the play. He's wise. He understands that Cesario is female. He understands that Orsino is extremely changeable. He even understands that Olivia will not maintain her mourning and will end up going back on her word at the start of the play. So his songs are also quite revealing of the fact that none of this happiness is going to last. The song that he sings in the centre of the play says, "Youth's a stuff will not endure." So despite the fact that Olivia and Sebastian and Orsino and Viola are united at the end of the play, he gives us this little note. It's not going to last though. Don't get too excited. It's not happily ever after. That doesn't really exist. The final song of the play does a very similar thing. Feste is left sometimes alone on stage, sometimes on stage with the rest of the characters, but he sings to the audience and he sings this song. When that I was and a little tiny boy, with hey ho, the wind and the rain, a foolish thing was but a toy, for the rain it raineth every day. It kind of sounds like nonsense. But this image, which he repeats throughout the song of the rain it raineth every day, the wind and the rain, leaves us with this impression that no matter how happy everything is at the end of the play, there are rains to come, there are storms to come, things don't last. And though we might get to enjoy this happy resolution briefly, it will always be brief. It will not endure, just like youth will not endure. So for me, those are the 2 key ways that Shakespeare makes use of music in the play, as a symbol of pleasure in the subplot, and then to create subtle dark undercurrents through Feste and through Orsino's description of music at the beginning of the play and its association with love and love's association with suffering, as we've already seen. Again, I would really like you to write up this essay as excellent revision. But even if you don't write the full essay, it's a great idea just to write your introduction to bring together your thoughts on how Shakespeare makes use of music in the play.